I'm Marti Gold Cummings, and this is Marti Talks. We're chatting with your favorite stars, queens, and politicians to get all the tea on all things political. Today's episode, we have superstar comedian Fortune Feimster. We are discussing what it's like being the youngest of three kids growing up in conservative North Carolina, how her family takes her comedy, her specials on Netflix, and of course, Lindsay Lohan. I met Fortune Feimster 7 or 8 years ago. She happened to come to a show of mine, and I was super gagged. I was such a big fan of Chelsea lately. I was obsessed with that show, and I loved when it was Chelsea and Fortune and Ross Matthews and Heather Heather McDonald, I think, on the show. I thought it was so funny. My ex and I used to watch it religiously. So when she came to my show, I was like, oh, like fuck, Fortune Feimster is in my audience. I hope I'm funny, girl. And she was so kind and so great. We've kept in touch ever since. I'm really excited to talk with her because I grew up in a conservative farm. I'm the youngest of, I have two older brothers. She has two older brothers. She grew up in North Carolina. I want to know her experience on what it's like doing comedy. Does she consider her comedy political? How does her family take it? Because that's one of the things. Like, I grew up in a conservative area also. So it's always, like, how do you present when you go home? What is it like, being queer and in this political age? I really am excited to get her perspective on North Carolina politics, just because, the last couple of years we've seen so many crazy things come out of North Carolina politically. So let's dive in. Let's do it. And also, I, of course, have to ask her about Lindsay Lohan because, remember when Lindsay hosted Chelsea Handler's show? Oh, it was so good. But, I stand Lindsay. Okay, here we go. I'm calling Fortune. Okay, we are here with another episode of Marti Talks, and I'm trying to plug my ring light in, even though this is audio. I still want to look good for your ears. We're here with the incredibly funny Fortune Feimster. Hey, girl, what is good?
Hey, girl, just quarantining. It's real fun.
We're doing it. Where are you? You're in LA?
I'm in LA. Yeah.
What's happening? What's going on in LA? How is it?
I mean, I feel like we can't complain in comparison to New York. I mean, you guys. Today. It is.
Girl, the snow came down. It's too much. I feel like
it's too much.
It's like the Old Testament shit happening.
I mean, I guess it keeps more people inside, but it's been raining here for 4 days, which is highly unusual. But we're just hunkering down. We've been in self-quarantine for a month, 4 weeks. I don't know what that is. How many days?
That's a lot of days. Your hot tub video. You're giving us full content though during this quarantine. Your hot tub. What is the name of that character?
Brenda. Hey.
We all have.
She yells at her husband, Tim. I mean, what else are you gonna do but make content right now? Eat food, make content. Watch TV.
I've done more Instagram
rinse and repeat.
It's too much. I'll now find myself going on Instagram Live just to have some kind of human connection. I'm like, somebody comment, somebody say something.
That's what my partner was. My partner was like, everybody's going on Instagram Live. I'm like, that's most of the people that live alone. That's just how they're communicating with people.
What else are we gonna do? Yeah. It's so. I mean, my husband's here, but I've seen enough of him.
You're like I have someone in my house. I don't want to talk to him.
My dogs are fully over the fact that we're here. They're like, please go away, get out of this house. And my husband is he's wonderful, but he always wins in the board game. So now I'm mad at him because I can't win the goddamn games. So now I'm about to kick him out. I don't know. We had one dog the other night. We were all laying on the couch, and for the most part, they're super pumped that we're home all the time. But for whatever reason, she just was over it. She got off the couch and went into the bedroom to get away from us. Like, fuck this. This is my house.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I want to talk a little bit. So you are from the great state of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Tar heels.
Take your shirt off and throw it around your head like a. What's that song, Petey Pablo?
Oh, I don't know about
you. You don't know that song?
No, I listen to show tunes and Dua Lipa. That's it. Okay.
Five of your listeners will know PD Pablo.
Oh well, we're gonna ask them. Comment below or whatever. I don't know how we're new to this. Comment somewhere. Tell us if you know.
Comment.
So you grew up in North Carolina, which okay. First of all, you're one of my favorite comedians. Your Netflix special is so fucking funny. It's so good.
Oh, thank you.
And I mean, I've been watching you since you were on Chelsea, and I've followed your career, and I just think you're so goddamn funny. But what is like North? I grew up in the country. I grew up on a farm in Maryland, and like it's now like Trump country, right? Like it is spooky. And there's little pockets of progression. I do drag down there sometimes, and we brought our first Pride there, which I'm super proud of. But it's like I was the like queer kid. I remember being in the Acme, and grown men would be like, "That's a fag," and I'm like, "A what?"
This girl.
It's like different. So, what was it like for you? Yeah. What was North Carolina like for you?
I mean, it was kind of a different time, and I feel like back then no one really talked about being gay or that anyone was gay. Like, wasn't something that was even used as like a negative thing. I never really heard people like calling anyone a faggot or like, accuse them of being gay. Like, it just wasn't on our radar, which seems so crazy now. But we just, there was no YouTube and, the internet. I don't think I got my first email address till I was 18. And so we weren't all connected in the same way. And I was from a town of like, 6,000 people. And you just kind of were like, people either liked you or they didn't based on your personality or whether you were good looking. There was no like, the gay thing didn't enter into the equation. So I didn't come out till I moved to Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, girl, I came out in high school and I was like, "Hey, everybody."
They're like,
they're like, "Yeah, girl." Anyway, pass the potatoes,
I mean, I think once I did finally come out, everybody, because we had, all progressed and grown up, and they were like, "Yeah, clearly you were gay." We pretty much knew that when you were chasing girls at 5 years old and playing every sport known to man. We were pretty sure you were gay. Like when I was growing up, like North Carolina's always had plenty of conservative people, but in college, like I remember the big popular congressman was John Edwards, and he was a big Democrat, out of North Carolina. And so, North Carolina didn't always swing so red, and so I never remembered growing up with a lot of like, I don't remember people being very closed-minded or, super, super conservative. They are in certain ways, but it wasn't so blatant. And then once I graduated college and moved to LA, there was this kind of big shift in the political scape in North Carolina where the Tea Party became a thing. And then there were a lot of Tea Party people coming out of North Carolina, and it sort of infiltrated the local politics there. And then it did a big shift into the red. And that was a real shocker for me because I always kind of considered North Carolina Southern for sure, but I never thought of it in the same regard as some of the super, super conservative states. So like for all of a sudden there to be like, these sneaky things happening, they were like putting, bills up for votes when like the Congress, the state assembly was like on holiday. It was like weird stuff was like happening out of nowhere. It just got real ugly there for a while, and the governor was very conservative for a long time, and then they just recently voted in a Democrat for governor. So, you start to see the pendulum shift a little bit. For sure.
Yeah. All right. We're back. We are recording this podcast, and the sound keeps going out. Things are clip clop, clippity clop. It's okay. This is the internet is shutting down. We're in the Hunger Games. This is it.
That's right.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit. I'm the youngest of three siblings. You're the youngest of three. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
How much younger? My brother is very much older. I have a brother who's 15 years older and one who's 5 years older. Is your dynamic like that?
Not quite that big of a gap. My oldest brother is 7 years older than me, and the other brother is 3 years older than me.
Are they in the showbiz?
They are not in the show biz. They live in North Carolina. One lives in North Carolina, the other one's in South Carolina, and they one works at a college, like in the student services,
Well, that's nice.
and the other one's in the Coast Guard. And they both have a fishing business. So it's a complete opposite world from mine.
Well, I hope to be fish, honey. We love a fishing business. Cast those nets, girl.
That's right.
So they're brothers.
They are brothers.
I mean, I don't know. I know they're brothers. I didn't hear if you said it was two brothers or a brother and a sister.
You're like, I know they're your brothers, but are they brothers?
Are they brothers? Yeah. I have two brothers. It's the same. I'm like the showbiz queen. My one brother, he's a Civil War reenactor, which is uncomfortable.
Oh, no, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Sometimes he does the War of 1812 just to spice things up.
What side does he like to fight on?
Anyway, we have disagreements. He was not invited to my wedding.
Gotcha.
And then my other brother is sweet as can be. He had a John Deere themed wedding. He's very sweet, very simple. I love him so much.
Yeah.
But he thinks of me as like his like little he's very protective. He's very protective.
And that brother is accepting of you and being gay.
He's so sweet. He's like, it's so funny to me because when I was growing up, my oldest brother, who I don't really talk with now, we got along very well. I think it's because he moved out when I was 3.
Yeah.
So he was more like an uncle, I guess.
Right.
And then when I grew up, I was like, oh, we have very different thoughts on the world, I see. Mm-hmm. And my other brother, who I grew up with, we didn't get along at all as kids. And then we were like jealous of each other. I always thought my parents paid too much attention to him. He always thought they paid too much attention to me. You know that, like.
Oh yeah, right.
But now he's like, he every time I do anything.
I think the mailman's delivering mail. Our dog's barking crazy.
Hey, Mr. Postman.
Hey, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
What does your family think of your stand-up shows?
I think they're amused by it. They're like, oh, that's cute. No, I think, we're one of those families, like everyone's proud of each other, but we don't really like say that very often. And, so I filmed my special, in my Netflix special in Charlotte, which is, I'm from like 30 minutes from there. And, most of my family came and, they were they were excited, and it was cool for me to get to show them like that side of my business because they see the finished product of things. Like when I do guest stars on shows or, and have a little part in a movie, they're like, oh, that's fun. But they don't really see the everyday hustle and all the work it took to like get there. And so for them to kind of get to be behind the scenes and see me studying my jokes and working on things and making notes and seeing the crafting of it, I think was eye-opening for them to just see all the work that is put into these things. And so my oldest brother came out here right actually before the quarantining started, and he was like, we're real proud of you. And that was like such a big thing. A big brother sister moment, because we don't have those moments very often.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I love that.
Yeah. But he was kind of he's the one that's 7 years older, so he kind of always took on like more of a dad type role. My dad's alive and my dad was around, but my oldest brother, he would be the one that would like play catch with me and teach me how to do things, and I wanted to do whatever he did.
That's so sweet. I love that so much. My brother, he's so funny. Like with my stuff, he'll be like, "Oh, how are things going with the drags?"
The drags.
The drags are going well. I'm doing it.
I love that.
He said he's a cook at this restaurant, this roadside truck stop, and he's so proud. And I'm so proud of him. I'm like, you doing you happy. But he called me like a year ago, and he goes, "We got one of the gays working here now." And I said,
one of your people.
But then he goes, "Do you know him?"
Do you know him? Yeah, I know. I get that a lot too.
But it's so because it's so he's trying to show he's trying to be nice, but but it's so sweet. But that's why I think it's like we were talking a little bit earlier about like you're from North Carolina and I'm from I think a lot of times people are in this conservative mindset.
Yeah,
like, everybody knows somebody who's LGBTQIA plus, right? So it's just about humanizing the experience or the people. And that's how we change minds and how we open hearts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had a long talk with my mom because my mom's a big gay supporter, and she's president of the P flag in my hometown, and so I think she's opened a lot of minds of people back home, and because they know me, and they think I'm a good person, and they're like, if they like me and they think that I'm quote unquote normal, then it sort of opens their eyes to other gay people. And so my mom has I was talking with my mom about the Methodist Church. They have that big vote.
What?
I don't know. Was that 6 months ago, 4 months ago, something like that? Where they voted on whether or not to allow gay clergy members, stuff like that, and it got voted down. And we've gone to, or I don't go to church now because there's brunch, but yeah, waffles are my church. But she goes and she was really torn. She's like, I don't know. I think that I should leave the church, and I was of the opinion. I was like, no, you should stay. And I said because
influence them.
Yeah, you stay and you influence them by your acceptance of the gay community and other people, anyone that's different, and you lead by example. Don't leave, and then they're all just a cookie cutter version of each other. And
they win. If you leave, they win. Stay there and change their mind.
Yeah. So I'm always even with my stand up, I'm always of the opinion of like with the fishing that my brothers do, casting that wide net, because I never wanted my comedy to just appeal to one person.
Do you consider your comedy like political in a way?
Oh no, no, it's subversive, in certain ways. Like in my special, I was like, how can I make a point of telling people they should accept their gay child without shoving it down their face? Yeah. So I tell a funny story. About my mom and her path to accepting me, and at the end, and it's funny and silly, and at the end I say you should support, the greatest gift you can give your kid as a parent is accepting them for who they are, and cash. And so
that's political. That's political in a sense. So you're saying, okay, we gotta unconditional love. We gotta open our minds and everything.
Yeah, but I do it in a way. I do it in a way that I guess that's a little more easy to swallow for those that like to swallow.
Well, that's good protein. I love that.
I've been in quarantine too long.
Listen, girl, very that. I'm eating my white trash sandwich in quarantine in full drag in my living room just because it's Friday. Why not?
Yeah, you're doing all kinds of things online too. Doing story time and
the kids' story time. Today we read The Cat and the Hat.
Oh, I love that video. I love that video of you when the baby shark video at your drag show. That was so cute.
Thank you. That was so. It's so funny how the internet is such a powerful thing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful we have it because we're able to do this together while we're in quarantine. But like a year ago, it was 20 seconds of a 2-hour drag race. Speaking of brunch, it was a 2-hour show. That was literally 20 seconds. 20 seconds. That's all it was. 20 seconds of this brunch. And somebody sent me a video. I said, oh, I'm going to put that on my Twitter. I at the time never really shared on Twitter. Now I'm queen of Twitter, I guess. I put it on, and I went to my friend's house after, just because it was their twins' year-old birthday. So I went to see the twins, and I said, "Oh, do the kids like Baby Shark?" And I said, "Oh my God, this video has 10,000 views." So they're all making fun of me. They said, "Oh, you're viral. You're viral." By the time I left their house, it had like 250,000 views or something.
Oh wow, that's cool.
But then I got bullied for it, and then AOC shared it. Well, yeah. So the internet's blessing, but it's also trash. So then AOC shared it. So then when you have AOC sharing a drag queen with a toddler, there's a whole lot of other stuff. And then I did a TED Talk about cyberbullying, and Monica Lewinsky shared the TED Talk. So then you have AOC sharing a video of a drag queen with a toddler that then does a TED Talk about cyberbullying that Monica Lewinsky then shares. It's a whole basket of crazy people online.
Yeah, holy cow. That's but the good people are seeing it, and that's all that matters.
And I also think there are people who have probably seen it who go, oh, it's the same thing, with your comedy, right? It's like, it's a very simple moment of joy, bringing laughter and cheer. And then somebody's going to go, one person out of the 100 people writing shitty stuff, one person's going to go, oh, well, drag's not so bad. That's not evil.
Well, at the root of it is a child who hasn't learned discrimination or judgment, just enjoying a very pure moment of loving Baby Shark with a drag queen.
That little kid was like, "Fuck Gaga, I want Baby Shark." Like,
yeah. I met you a long time ago in New York. I was thinking back to that show you did down in the bar.
In the basement.
In the basement bar where y'all would sing like cabaret songs and stuff.
Kelly King, yeah.
Yeah, you and Kelly. That was so fun.
Who did you come? You were with Jay.
With Jay and Justin right? Martindale.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Well, that's when you were still doing Chelsea then, I think, right?
Yeah.
I was obsessed with that show.
Oh, we had so much fun back then.
Ross Matthews. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a fun crew. We just got to be ridiculous on TV.
There was this one segment. What was it? Lindsay Lohan was on, wasn't she?
Yeah, she hosted it. I was on the panel that night.
Oh,
she came out of rehab, or I think it was rehab. She went somewhere, and and when the first thing she did was host Chelsea Lately, and I was on the panel. They were so nervous that we were going to make fun of her. We were like, no. Yeah, she was awesome. We're like, anybody that's coming on our show, we're not going to shit on them. We're happy that they're here.
I think she's a really good sport about. Oh, my husband just mouthed me. He goes, "I love her." He's been in his room composing music.
I love it. Do I hear you talking about Lindsay Lohan?
No, he's talking about you. He's talking about you. He loves you.
Oh, me?
Yes, he's talking about you.
I thought we were praising Lindsay.
No, he was so excited. He was like, "I can't believe you're interviewing Fortune today." He was like, "I didn't know you knew her," and I was like, "I know everyone."
You do. We go way back before your Baby Shark success.
I did. I'm on the board of directors for Forney Center for homeless LGBTQ youth here in New York. It's an amazing organization. When you're in the city, I'll give you a tour of they house homeless LGBTQ youth. It's amazing. But Lindsay Lohan, she's a big supporter. She's been kind of on the DL, like a supporter. She didn't want press or anything. But then they had their big gala this year, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to be in the city. I'd like to come."
Yeah.
And we do this thing. I was hosting it on stage. It's at Cipriani's. There's 1,000 people there. And and the reporter hosted it. It was a really great event. And I hosted the live auction portion. And we do this thing where we say, okay, who can give $50,000? I mean, to me, $50,000 that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
And she raised her little paddle and said she's going to give the $50,000. So, the shady people are like, oh, Lindsay, is she, And I felt, because she was super nice, she was so sweet backstage. I hung out with her a couple of nights before she took the board out to hang out. She was so kind and really very different from what I thought she would be. She was super kind, super nice. And all these shady people for like a week. Oh, I bet she's not going to really get, not from the organization, obviously, but like just gossipers
out
in
in the world. Yeah.
And she gave the money. She kept her word.
That's right.
Gave $50,000 to help these kids. And
That's awesome.
So I always think it's like, people can be so shady in the news and talk shit about people and their problems. But I'm like, you know what? She's a human being. She's a human.
Oh,
and she's really nice. And she really helped a lot of kids. That money will go a long way, especially now when we're going through this shutdown and those kids really need that money,
Well, when anybody that grows up in the public eye, everybody likes to root for people and then tear them down. It's a weird business like that.
Show business is crazy. I hope that it's a very scary time. We're in quarantine. It's scary. The country's in this upheaval and people are out of work and losing income and losing loved ones and stuff. I hope that when we get through this, people will be a little kinder to one another.
Yeah.
I hope that they'll remember humanity. Remember to be kind. Just be kind. Be kind.
Well, it's a rare time in our history when, this is not only something our entire country is going through, but the entire world. I mean, when has that ever happened that the whole world practically shut down? I mean, this is like unheard of. And so we're all going to be coming out of this, coming out of our bunkers, just kind of, I would hope more grateful for just everyday life and hopefully appreciating the small things. Like how much are we all just taking for granted? God, just getting to live life and go to a restaurant and hug a friend. It's just like just
hug a friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you and your partner like dealing? What are you doing to like help with your spiritual health, mental health, staying sane through this?
Yeah. I mean, it changes every day. The first week was really hard because you're just kind of I'm sort of in denial of like, this can't be happening. This sucks. I was supposed to do this and that. I think we were all kind of in that headspace, right? Of just like, this just seems like a nightmare. And at some point you kind of just sort of adjust to the new normal for now, hoping that, we get on the other side of this. I don't know at what point, but I think I've tried to find some sort of a routine. I'm still doing I do a Sirius XM radio show in the mornings for Netflix, and we're still doing that from home. So that's helped me tremendously, just having something to wake up for.
Yeah, routine is important, I think.
Yeah, and then we'll either like walk our dogs or walk on a treadmill, some sort of physical thing to just not get, because otherwise you can just sit in front of your TV all day or be on Twitter, like going through the news and just feeling awful,
Yeah, I give myself news breaks, and then I've been walking the dogs, but I found this kind of mom workout on YouTube. It's like the jumping jack workout or whatever. It's it's a very mom workout. My husband's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm doing my jumping jacks."
I would much prefer the mom workout. People are like, "You can like go find Chris Hemsworth's, training schedule or Arnold Schwarzenegger." I'm like, no thanks. I'd rather do jumping jacks.
It's so simple. It's like, okay, we're going to do the jumping jacks and then one squat and then we're going to rest. Oh, great.
Yes.
Rest.
That sounds amazing to me.
I started watching what is it called? With Al Pacino. That's like my new thing I'm watching. I'm binging.
A TV show?
Yeah, Hunters. They hunt Nazis. Have you heard of this?
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's Jordan Peele produced it.
Oh, okay. And it's out right now?
Yeah, on Amazon. It's great.
Oh, okay.
Each episode's like an hour though. So it's like a movie. Each episode's like a movie.
Dang, that's cool.
I'm up at like 6 a.m. Like, I don't know. Time doesn't exist anymore. So
I know. It's like you're either drinking coffee or wine. That tells you what part of the day it is.
Every day, I fell asleep watching Unsolved Mysteries. That's like my other thing I watch. 90s episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. I Google to see if they ever solved it.
Yeah.
But, so I woke up the other day at like 4 a.m. and made one of my white trash sandwiches that I was just eating with Tostitos chips with Brussels sprouts and mozzarella cheese.
I don't even know. I don't know about the sandwich.
But it's wonderful. And so I woke. That's where I'm at in quarantine. It's wild.
Are you like in the, like, what is it like there? I mean, because it's been like the epicenter of everything. Like,
It's
what is?
epicenter. Yeah. I mean, it's my whole thing is, because I'm running for city council, and so I want time to get information out to people who really need it. Like, so I'm a freelance artist, right? 1099 gig worker. So you only get paid if you show up for work. So how are you going to, how do people like me, bartenders, drag queens, musicians, waiters, busboys, porters, all these different industries, how do you, coffee shop workers, whatever, when you don't go to work, how do you pay your rent? Especially in New York, everything's so expensive. How do you pay your rent? So rent suspension, there's a Senate bill in New York, Bill 8125, advocating for people experiencing homelessness, like that's a big thing. It's really scary, that we have a housing crisis here. So that, but then the other thing, it's like, I think people are I worry for people who still have to take the subway to work. That's a really scary thing. And the grocery stores we have, there's like doormen who, like bouncers. They're not bouncers, but I don't know what else to call. At the door, and they there's chalk on the sidewalk telling people how far, and they only let 3 people come out of the grocery store. They'll let three in.
It's like very
regulated. It's pretty scary. When I walk the dogs in the morning, there's a pharmacy right next door. And a grocery store across the street. So I see the line for the pharmacy and the line for the grocery store, and everybody's wearing masks. It's a scary time, but like you said, I hope we appreciate life.
Yeah,
from this.
I mean, it's gonna take a little. No, we don't know when everything will be back into the world, whatever that looks like. There'll definitely be a lot of changes. But you just hope that somehow we all as a country get through this together, and people, like you said, look out for each other, and that humanity part comes through stronger. We're not so selfish and
I hope
thinking about others.
But I tell you what, listen, joy and laughter are a wonderful thing to help through these times. And you are somebody who is giving that through and through and through. So thank you so much for
my pleasure.
All you do. So everybody go on the Netflix, get on the internet web, and watch Fortune's special and Sirius XM radio in the morning.
Yeah, the special is called Sweet and Salty.
Sweet and salty. That sounds like a sandwich.
That's right.
Well, I think you're amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you soon, I hope.
All right. Well, it was nice talking with you, and I'm so impressed with all the work you're doing and getting involved and really helping so many people. It's great.
I appreciate that. We're all in this together, girl.
Yeah.
Go take Bye. Thank you.
Take your pantyhose off. Just stretch and put
I'm
your
unpacked. I'm just wearing a wig. That's all.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Marti Talks. This podcast is presented by The Only Productions, Mitch Farino, and Bob the Drag Queen. Editing is also done by Mitch Farino and Bob the Drag Queen. Check out other podcasts, videos, and live events at theonlyproductions.com. Make sure you're registered to vote, tell your friends and family to register to vote, and get to the polls. Our democracy and our lives are at stake. Thanks again. You can find me on all social media at Marti G. Cummings. Until next time, spread love and don't be a dick.